While I do highly recommend that you have some type of bedtime routine implemented into your nightly schedule and be consistent with it, I know that sometimes things are a little bit more complicated than that. And that's why today I'm filling you in on my secret strategies. What's up, everybody? It's Ash the OT, and if you are a parent or caregiver out there and you're ready to be the expert of your own child, then make sure you definitely hit that subscribe button so that you will be the first in line to hear about strategies to help your child learn, grow, and make progress in their little lives. So today we're talking about a child's worst nightmare. Bedtime. Yes, bedtime can be so dreadful for a lot of parents out there. I mean, there are parents out there that, lucky you have angel children and all you have to do is give them a bath, read them a book, and put them to bed and they're out like a light. However, there are some other parents out there who don't have that same story. While I do highly recommend that you have some type of bedtime routine implemented into your nightly schedule and be consistent with it, I know that sometimes things are a little bit more complicated than that. And that's why today I'm filling you in on my secret strategies that a lot of people may not have heard of, or you may not be familiar with, or maybe you just was like, I never thought about that, but that could definitely work. So my first secret strategy is using deep pressure. So deep pressure is basically just using your hands or another tool to kind of give some pressure to the child's body, because giving that deep input and that deep pressure is actually very regulating and very calming to the nervous system. I mean, just think about it. Why do we go get massages, right? Because we like that feeling and that pressure of them manipulating like our muscles and our body. It makes us feel so relaxed. So same thing for a child. Now, I don't mean you have to give your child a full body massage before they go to bed, but you can definitely give them some squeezes to their arms or their legs, maybe even while you are reading a bedtime story to them, so it's not as obvious what you're doing. But some kids actually like it. So you can say, hey, are you ready for your bedtime squishes or squeezies? And yes, if they like it, then definitely apply that deep pressure by just gently squeezing their arms, their shoulders, their legs. And you want it to be firm, but not to the point of pain where they're like wincing, but you want it to be firm enough where they can actually get the feedback that it's needed to help them calm. Another way you can provide deep pressure is by maybe rolling them up in a blanket and maybe playing like kid burrito before it's time for bed. And while they're wrapped in the blanket, then you can also apply some of those same strategies by giving them some deep pressure. So you can also use heavy blankets at night or weighted blankets. Now, there is a difference between a heavy blanket and a weighted blanket. A heavy blanket is basically like a quilt or something that just has some typical weight to it, especially for a child. A weighted blanket is more geared towards kiddos that may have some type of sensory need. And those are usually specialized blankets that are made specifically for your child. And they usually come in some type of weight capacity. They have very specialized like weight requirements. So when it comes to a weighted blanket, I would definitely consult with another occupational therapist or somebody else who has that expertise that can help you figure out which weighted blanket is appropriate for your child. But if you don't have access to that, maybe just using a heavy comforter or a quilt would do that job. Another alternative out there is to look for companies that actually sell bedding sheets that are made specifically for children. So there's one company that I know of called Betty's, and they actually sell like sets that are like fitted sheets, a comforter, and like a sleeping bag, like all wrapped into one. And those are actually good for kids who are very particular about their sheets. And they also are good for children who like a little bit of firm pressure to help their bodies calm at night. So my second secret strategy is temperature. So a lot of us are not even aware how much temperature can actually make an impact on our children's sleep at night, or even our sleep too. But especially for our little ones who are not even aware of how much that can actually influence their sleeping abilities. So one strategy for kiddos who actually like warmth is to throw your blanket or your comforter into the dryer right before bed. And then when the kid is ready to get in the bed, take the blanket out and wrap them up and tuck them in with that nice warm blanket. Another way that you can increase the amount of warmth for that child is to warm up a rice pillow, or I don't even know if you guys have even heard, but there are actually microwavable stuffed animals out there. Yes, there really are. You can throw the stuffed animal in the microwave for a few seconds, get it nice and warm, and then your child can cuddle up with it at night. And that's just another way to kind of help that child feel more relaxed and ready for bed. So even though having that warm sensation is awesome to help the child relax and fall asleep at night, we also want to make sure that the room itself, like the air temperature in the room, is actually cool, because it takes the body about dropping 2 degrees below the core temperature in order for us to actually fall asleep at night. So even though we like that warm, snuggly sensation, having like cool air in the room is very beneficial. So make sure you just play around with the temperature. You don't want it too cold, but you don't want it too hot in the room. You want it a nice, cool, maybe, I don't know, 65, 68 at night, depending on what you and your child like and are comfortable with. But it's kind of like that balance that you're playing with. Cool air temperature, that was a dance move. Cool air temperature, but also warm and snuggly to help that child fall asleep. Secret strategy number 3 is sound. Okay, you're probably like, what do you mean sound? No, no, no. They need to be quiet. The room needs to be quiet. The house needs to be quiet. Everybody needs to be quiet in order for my child to fall asleep, which very well may be true, but your child may actually be the kid that actually falls asleep better to white noise. So white noise is basically like sounds that are used to mask or block out other sounds that may naturally occur in our environment. And by these sounds blocking out this type of noise, it may help your child to fall asleep faster and have a better quality of sleep. So one easy way that you can implement and try out white noise with your child is to have like a ceiling fan, or just even put a regular fan in your child's room, because that consistent like whirring, rearing, whatever noise you want to call it, but that constant noise of the ceiling fan or the fan going is kind of like calming. It's kind of like the hum of like a refrigerator, or like the hum of an air conditioner. It's that really subtle noise that we don't even notice, but it's actually really calming and relaxing for us. Another way that you can implement white noise is you can actually buy white noise machines. There are tons of white noise machines that you can order offline, and people are getting really creative these days. They even have stuffed animals that have like a white noise device inside the stuffed animal. Another way that you can provide the white noise effect is to download an app. There are tons of apps out there that parents, you can use on your phone to kind of have that white noise effect in your child's room to help them fall asleep. And then obviously you can remove it once the child is completely asleep, if that works best for your child. So secret strategy number 4 is being mindful of visual stimulation. So there are actually kind of 2 sides of the coin. There's some visual stimulation that is actually kind of good and will help your child sleep, and then there's visual stimulation that is bad and will negatively affect your child sleeping. So let's start with the good news first, right? So one thing to consider is exposing your child throughout the day to as much natural light and as natural sunlight as possible, because natural sunlight actually produces natural melatonin for our bodies, and throughout the day that helps us prepare and get ready for bed, because that melatonin is a natural chemical in our body that helps us to fall asleep. And the sun is that main source. And so if your child is exposed to the sun or some natural lighting throughout the day, that could definitely help produce those chemical effects of melatonin to put them to bed. So another good source of visual stimulation that will help your child to fall asleep at night is red light. So red lighting is actually lighting that has good effects on our bodies because it's more relaxing and helps us to progress naturally into our sleep cycles, versus blue lighting, which we'll talk about in a second, is the opposite and actually activates the brain and activates the body versus helping it to relax. So you can use something such as like a lava lamp. I don't even know if lava lamps, those are old school. I don't know. But some type of red light bulb or a lava lamp, if those things are still in existence. And you can use those and put that in your child's bedroom to help with that relaxing sensation that your child needs to fall asleep. So now let's talk about the bad sides of visual stimulation. So the number one thing you should avoid if you are trying to have your child go to bed at night is electronics before bed. Yes, don't do that. That is definitely a no-no. So you should stay away from screen time, stay away from all different types of electronics, no favorite cartoons. I would even stay away from like those toys that light up and have all those flashing colors and things like that at night, because those things are actually more alerting to the brain and the body, and they don't actually help your child to fall asleep. They actually help them to kind of stay up longer. So definitely stay away from those electronics. And if you have a toddler anyway, they should not have that much screen time to begin with. So make sure you check out my other video in which I talk more about reducing screen time for your child. But definitely, if you are trying to implement a successful bedtime routine, having electronics anytime before bed, I would say even 2 to 3 hours before bed should be the cutoff time for any electronics. But definitely be mindful of that if you're trying to be successful with your child at night. So my fifth and final secret strategy is movement. So yes, movement is a huge deal when it comes to bedtime for your kid. So number one thing is you should be making sure that your child is getting enough physical movement and physical activity throughout their day way before it's time for bedtime. Toddlers are meant to run and jump and climb and explore and just be very physical throughout their day, so that by the time it's night, they should be pretty tired and pretty ready for bed. But if they're not, that could just mean that they are not getting the right type of movement throughout their day. So some kids are fine with just exploring and expending all of their energy by just running and just being a typical toddler anyway. But sometimes we might have to enforce a little bit more. So we may need to add what I call heavy work throughout their day. So heavy work is things like pushing or pulling or carrying things that have some type of weight. So some examples of heavy work for your toddler could be things such as if they have like those little fun like grocery carts, then you can put like some heavy toys or some of their stuffed animals, something with some weight in it, and have them push that cart around the house. And if you want to add some extra resistance, have them to try to push that cart like on a rug or on some carpet. That'll really work their muscles. You can also do things like have your child to help you put laundry into the laundry basket. And once that laundry basket is full, you can have your child to try to help you push the laundry basket around the house or into a different room. Or like I said before, try to push that laundry basket across like the carpet or rug for more resistance. You can even try to incorporate some heavy work with their hands by letting them play with things such as Play-Doh or clay or things that's gonna require them to really manipulate and use their hands, even if you are baking cookies or something like that, and having them to help you roll the dough. So those are all great ways to incorporate that muscle work and that heavy work with their physical activity throughout the day to help them fall asleep faster at night. So once your child has been expending all of that physical activity and that heavy work throughout the day, we transition into our nighttime routine and it's time for bed. Sometimes some kids really like that rocking, slow movement, and that really helps them to fall asleep faster. So one thing that you could do if you have like, for example, a yoga ball or exercise ball at home, then you can have that child lay on it on their stomachs, and then you can kind of hold their feet and kind of gently like rock them over back and forth across the ball for a few times, and then put them to bed. If you have a rocking chair in their room, you can have them sit on your lap, wrap that heavy blanket around them, and then read a book to them. And while you're reading the book to them, you're providing some of that gentle rocking motion. So it's very important that you keep movement in the back of your head, because yes, you want to provide physical movement throughout the day, but some kids may also require some slow rocking movement at night. So I would highly recommend that you try some of these secret strategies that I gave you today. And you don't have to go out there and try them all at once. You don't have to say, all right, tomorrow we're gonna do the deep pressure, we're gonna have some white noise, we're going to get some sunlight, we're going to get some physical activity, we're gonna do limit electronics. I mean, if you could do it all at once, kudos to you. But maybe you should try just one thing at a time, or maybe a couple of those tips at a time, and see what's working and what's not working for your child, so that you can keep track of what's most effective for your child at night. So as a reminder, also make sure you watch my video on reducing screen time for your child, because not only will that have a positive effect on helping your child to fall asleep at night, but that will also have a positive effect on your child's development in general. So until next time, guys, may you and your little one get the sleep that you both deserve. Bye-bye.